So, hello everybody. We're here to answer one very important question first. Did everybody have a good lunch? Right, yeah? Everybody happy? Nobody dozing off? So, it's always a challenge to kick off things after a lunch. But I think that we have an engaging topic. We have a group of very motivated speakers, and we're gonna try and keep you awake, basically. So, to introduce myself first, my name is Dino, Gramatikov, and for the past 5 years I've lived in Geneva in Switzerland, and since a month ago I've started looking at the profitability of Inmarsat, which is a global satellite telecom. Now, Inmarsat might not necessarily ring a bell to most people around here, but until a month ago, actually the last 8 years, I spent in another company that you might have heard about. It's called Wizz Air. So now, as much as I'd like to talk about aviation, I could talk about it for an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours. We have another topic at hand. In the lead up to the event, I asked my panelists here about what they thought about the topic, and Filip here asked me basically one question. What are smart industries nowadays? Because all of the industries are somehow touched by information and connectivity, practically. But me personally, I would like to think of smart industries, those where you can add some intellectual value, right? So we're looking at transforming Macedonia and Macedonian business into a knowledge economy, knowledge-driven economy, if you will. First, in order to position Macedonia first, if we want to transform it, we have to establish where Macedonia sits today, right? For this, we can use opinions of people, and there are some strong opinions on the topic, but we can also use indices. Now, there are international high-level indices prepared by global NGOs. Now, I live in Geneva, so I might be a bit biased on the topic, right? But there are two main indices, and the first one is prepared by the International Telecommunications Union, ITU, and it's a nice, robust index, if you will. There's a second one prepared by the World Economic Forum, which focuses more on the propensity to exploit the opportunities. So it looks more to the impact, right? It looks to how we're going to use what we have currently as a platform, as an environment here in Macedonia today. And Macedonia's rating by that is pretty good, actually. It's 47th country out of 143 in the world. It beats on ranking all of the countries in the environment, and there's only one other country in the same income group, which is the upper middle income group, which is Malaysia, that's better positioned. Now, you would say, okay, well, this is all nice, good ranking. But we want to also look at dive deeper a bit to understand what is behind this ranking. And if you look at World Economic Forum's report for 2015, there are some strengths, clearly defined strengths and weaknesses. Now, the strengths of Macedonia, and we've been talking about this in the past couple of days and today as well. It's clearly there is a favorable business climate for starting a new business and for retaining profit. Okay, not about everything, but to start a new business, retain profit, the environment is good. Second, there is focus and commitment of the government on ICT and the benefits it can bring. So these are clearly good things going for Macedonia, and this has resulted in, first, high internet penetration and accessibility, and especially in schools, right? And what has also resulted in is high use of social networks, right? So we have a good foundation here. So we have identified that we have a, let's say, good basic understanding of the ICT industry and its benefits in Macedonia. However, there are some challenges as well. The challenges, low level of innovations, and that's more expressed as a number of patent applications, if you will. And this is a very interesting topic, and one of our speakers, Filip here, is really looking forward to tell you more about it. The second big outlier was quality of management schools and quality of higher education in regards to business. So this is not necessarily what we have as an expertise, but it's what Macedonia 2025 is trying to do. And I think that between all of us, we can address these challenges that lie ahead of us. So, we have some engaging speakers, as I said, and on those indices that I mentioned from the World Economic Forum, the top economy globally is Singapore. The second best economy is Finland. The best ranked economy in the upper middle income group that we're interested in achieving is in Malaysia, right? So, these are all three countries that our first guest speaker has really had a consultancy role with on governmental level. And I think it's more than just a happy coincidence. So, our first speaker is Tomi Ahonen. He's a best-selling technology and media author and an expert in mobile technology. He's the author of Communities Dominate Brands. He's a mobile technology expert and a rock star. So I hand over to Tomi Ahonen.
It's very much my pleasure. Wow. It's very much my pleasure to be with you here today. But first of all, what's with the hat? You've seen me walking around a crazy guy in the hat. It's just my trademark. It's the way for me to tell you I want to talk with you. You can find me easily with my hat, not just here today, at the next break, at the hotel later tonight, or tomorrow at the airport, or 2 weeks from now at London Heathrow, 2 years from now at Singapore Changi, or at John F. K. in New York. You see the guy in the hat, you go, Tomi Ahonen, we met in Skopje, you know what I'm doing nowadays, and that this is what I'm doing. And it's my way so you can find me. Okay. So, now, secondly, I thank you very much, Viviana. It was a wonderful, wonderful introduction. There's a little change, a little correction I need to make. So yes, I prepared some research for you, but I didn't specifically study Macedonia. I don't understand your language. I don't speak a word of it. I have a hard time with your alphabet already, and even that is difficult for me. And I have not lived here before. I don't know any of your companies. I have not studied Macedonia as such. What I meant to do, and there's just bad communication, my fault, I've studied the ICT industry evolution, and with that, I took a focus for Macedonia 2025 on where do I think are the best opportunities, and with that focus, you will be today seeing several things I've never shown before into the public domain, building on theories and forecasts that I have I've given in the past. So, with that, let's start. What do I want to do? It's after lunch, so of course, I am here to poison your mind. I am the evil Antichrist. I will ruin all your plans. I will take you to the dark side. I am the Antichrist, because I am Mr. Mobile. And everything else we've heard today, we can throw it all away from today on, all of you, and Macedonia 2025 will become mobile first. It doesn't mean mobile only. It doesn't mean mobile only, but every single plan you had, with the possible exception of Inmarsat, with the possible exception of the two gentlemen from mining, because I can't get cellular signals deep into the mines. But everyone else in this room, your plans will change and you will become mobile first. So let me show you why. Let's start with the numbers. You know the world. You know these numbers in general in Europe, but you need to see what the global world looks like. There are 1 billion fixed landline telephones, 1.7 billion personal computers, 2 billion television sets, 3 billion internet users, 4.2 billion FM radios. Don't take this picture, you want the next one. So, where's mobile? The red line is missing. There are 7.2 billion people on the planet. At the end of last year, paying customers in mobile totaled 7.4 billion. First industry ever where we have more customers than the total number of human beings on the planet. Not adults, from 1-year-old to 101 years old. Not just rich Europe and rich America, from Africa to America. 7.4 billion paid customers, and look at the line, how fast it's growing. It keeps growing. At the moment, mobile is telling our time. We don't use the wristwatch anymore. There are people who have mobile phones who don't need a toothbrush because they don't have running water at home. In Africa, there are villages where there's no electricity. They still have mobile phones. Why? Because there is cellular coverage and they get the mobile phone recharged in the neighboring village. There are people who don't need this technology, who don't need a pen and paper because they are illiterate, but they have mobile phones. There has never been an industry like mobile. Never been an industry like this. And I have your other ICT industries here on this same graph. But I don't really care about the user numbers. I'm a Mr. Money guy. Show me the money. Who makes money in these businesses? Let's start with radio. Radio is a 100-year-old industry. Its total value, globally, is roughly speaking $100 billion. The internet is about 25 years old as a mass media industry. Its total value is about $200 billion. And with television, television is a 70-year-old broadcast industry. Its total value is about $500 billion. Then let's take the PC industry. PCs are 40 years old. PC's total value is $400 billion. And lastly, let's add that landline business, which is pretty well starting to die off, but it's still worth $400 billion. Those of you who are quick at math can add these together. This is $1,600 billion, or $1.6 trillion. 1.6 T, $1.6 trillion are these 5 industries in the ICT industry combined. So Tomi, where's mobile? Mobile is as big as those 5 industries combined. Mobile alone, in just 35 years, became worth $1.6 trillion last year. I win! Mobile wins! We're the fastest growing industry in human history. The fastest growing giant industry there ever was. We grow faster, we are bigger, and we are currently growing faster. There's never been an industry like mobile. So now you're all depressed, you're going, oh, Macedonia, we missed it. It was those guys at Nokia, it was Apple with their iPhone, and all those people who conquered this world, and that was great money, and there's nothing left in it anymore for us. Let's go to Seattle. Let's ask Chetan Sharma. Chetan Sharma is one of the great statisticians and forecasters of the mobile industry. He told us 2 years ago about the future of mobile. My dear Chetan says, we are only entering the golden age of mobile now. The fastest growing industry on the planet, with $1.6 trillion, and the golden age is coming. You are in the right room. You came to the right place. This is the right time to go mobile first. This is exactly the right time. You did not miss anything. Those first $1.6 trillion we earned while we were practicing, while we were making mistakes. You know, companies like Motorola and Nokia, etc. You know, we've seen plenty of mistakes along the way. Now the golden years are coming. You are in the right industry. Now let's go further. What is happening with smartphones? I was the first person to forecast that all mobile phones become smartphones. There are lots of people saying, Tomi, they will never use smartphones in Africa, they're too poor, etc. Now we are at this point. This year, 2015, 75% of all new phones sold on the planet will be smartphones. That's this year's statistic. 2015. If we're thinking about Macedonia 2025, by 2019, all new phones on the planet, so definitely all new phones, of course, in Macedonia, will be smartphones. But there are plenty of old phones still hanging around. Some old Nokias and some old, cheap phones from Huawei, etc. When will all phones in use be smartphones? Well before 2025. When you are looking at this future, we can now plan for a future where every single human being has a smartphone in their pocket. Almost all of them will be Android phones, not iPhones. Most of them will be cheap smartphones, but everyone who has a basic mobile phone today, by 2025, they will all have smartphones. How much will that change humanity? The information age, when everyone has access to a smartphone, where everyone has essentially a computer in their pocket. This is your future. This is what we are now planning for the next 10 years. That is the future you are looking at. Look what they're doing in Dubai. The world's first driver's license issued onto a mobile phone. Just happened less than a year ago. In the future, our passport will be on a mobile phone. So everything you've been thinking now about, Facebook, this, and I can do my banking identity on my mobile phone, and let's do some messaging, and let's do some payments. Driver's license, identity, taxes, voting, things like that. Estonia already done voting on mobile phone. So this is the kind of things we are doing, and then I want to look at customers. I always like to look at money first, then I like to look, what do customers do? What is the latest understanding and insights we get about customers? The number you need to memorize is 221. 221. The average smartphone user looks at their smartphone 221 times per day. Per day. 200, we all do that. 221 times per day. While I am speaking 20 minutes, you cannot go without looking at your phone 4 times. Interrupting my presentation, they're like, no, sorry, even though Tomi's got let's see what's on the phone, something on Facebook, and let's send a message, and what time is it, and do I need to go, and where's my parking, and so forth. That means once every 4 minutes and 18 seconds of every waking hour. Every 4 minutes and 18 seconds, we have to look at our pocket, look at our phone. Is that an opportunity for you? Oh my God, it's a huge opportunity for you. Anything you do, this is a massive opportunity for you. But look at what's happening in retail. Latest Google statistics just now out. 82% of smartphone owners have been inside a store before they made a purchase. They checked it on their phone to make sure, is this a smart purchase or not? MMA studies from 2 years ago said half of them, 49%, half of people who have found something on their phone while they're in the store have walked out of the store and not made the purchase. If you're in retail, this puts you into heart attack. After this, you have to totally change your mobile strategy. Oh my God, I don't want them leaving my store and going to my competitor's store. I want them to stay in my store. In fact, I would like to steal the customers from my competitor's store to bring them into my retail establishment. That's the right thinking for mobile. And then what do young people do? Just October now, latest statistics from Zogby, youth in America. They are now taking pictures instead of typing. Like this lady in Singapore, she had something on her computer screen. Rather than write it down, she just took a picture with her smartphone of it, of her computer screen, to make notes for us. Some kids will do this, that they will have, their friend has something funny on the phone. They will take the friend's phone and they'll use their own phone and take a picture of the screen from the friend's phone. Mobile is a magical memory machine. Mobile is a magical memory machine. We can enhance our memory by using mobile. We can put, our shopping list there. Where did I park my car? What is the subway map for London? Whatever you need, you now start taking pictures. You don't bother writing these things down. A confirmation code from an airline. No, you just take a picture of it, of that email. What was the address of the hotel? Things like that. This is a new way of thinking and using the power of mobile, which we never did with traditional cameras. We didn't use that to take pictures of, text, and then have the film develop, somewhere, 48 hours later we will get the pictures. Totally different behavior, our industry. And what can we do with it? Knorr, soup maker, in South Africa. Knorr decided to experiment. They did a consumer survey on mobile. 38% of South African households responded to the survey. If this is Macedonia, that's 190,000 people who answer your survey. Better automate that. Don't have people reading those responses. You have to have a machine to read them. 190,000 responses in Macedonia. That's the scale that we had in South Africa. Knorr, soup. Mobile will totally eliminate industries like Gallup and Nielsen doing consumer surveys. Why should I survey 1,024 people? You remember statistics class in school? That we get the 97% confidence interval on statistics if we do a national population survey of 1,024? If I get 190,000 people in Macedonia that I can survey by sending out a mobile message to them, please answer my survey. We will totally ruin industries. We will change them. What mobile wins? So, then let's take a look where this goes with grant convergence. Some of you have seen my theories before, maybe seen in a couple of my books. We've been looking at grant convergence as the number of industries that I believe will all become digital. So you notice, for example, airlines and shipping is not in this slide. Mining is not in this slide. Hotels, retail are not in this slide. I still, if I want to go back to Hong Kong, I cannot use an iPhone and some kind of teleportation to an ice spot in Hong Kong. I need a Boeing or Airbus to fly me back home. So travel is not in the slide. But these 17 industries, I believe, these all will become fully digital. Or at least more than 90% digital. And if they do, they will all become mobile, meaning that they will go into the center of the circle. So you notice the arrows are the same length, but the arrows are different thickness. The thickness tells you how big an industry is. So, broadcast is a $600 billion industry. But right next to it you see music. Music is a $25 billion industry. So the thicker the arrow, the bigger the industry is. Now I have moved these arrows into the circle to show you what is the status today, 2015, how much of this digital convergence has happened across these 17 industries. So this is an interesting snapshot. If you've got a camera phone, this is a good picture to take as to see what the situation is today in the world. You can see telecoms, 85% of telecoms have migrated into mobile. It means that any telephone number you call on the planet, in 5 times out of 6, the telephone rings on a mobile phone. And only in 1 time of 6, the phone rings on a fixed landline. That's what I mean. 85% of telecoms have migrated into mobile. Some of these industries have moved quite a lot. Some have not moved that much. Now when you look at the orange part in the bottom left-hand corner here, the orange box tells you the total value of these 17 industries when they are added together. $7 trillion. $7,000 billion. $7 trillion. If this convergence happens, and if that value remains, that is not destroyed in the convergence, if that value remains, this would be the biggest industry on the planet. Bigger than cars, bigger than airplanes, bigger than military tech, bigger than food, bigger than drinks, bigger than farming. The biggest industry on the planet is sitting on this map. And what's on the middle? Mobile. This is your future. You cannot escape it. How far have we gone? $1.6 trillion so far out of that 7 trillion has been achieved by mobile in this migration. That means that only 23% of this migration has happened. Chetan Sharma was correct. 77% of the journey has not been done yet. The golden age of mobile is right now. And you need to capture, because this is the biggest race the planet has ever seen. This is the biggest economic opportunity there has ever been. And all of these 17 industries are definitely racing to get there. They are all your competitors, no matter what you do. These are your competitors. And they can come and steal your money, or you can go and steal their money. What does this look when we're looking at Macedonia 2025? What would this look like 10 years from now? Roughly, I'm estimating that we will reach $4 trillion the year that I retire. Because in 2025, I'll be 65 years old. Now 55. So, at that point, 57% of this journey, roughly speaking, will have been completed. And you see several of the green arrows have gone completely in. They will be 100% mobile. And very many of them have only a little bit outside of mobile. Now, some of you who are very clever, with a strategic mind, want to take a picture of this slide. Nobody with a camera phone, you don't want to take any pictures of this? This is the picture you want to take, because this is your map to the future. What will happen in the next 10 years? Where do you want to steal business? Where do you want to go? So, that would be $4 trillion. We will be right level at that time with what is currently the largest industry on the planet, which is food. Food is roughly worth $4 trillion. So, in 10 years, digital convergence, mobile, will become as big as food. Eventually, mobile will become much bigger than food. I win. This is the industry. Every one of you is now polluted, corrupted. Sorry, I'm the evil Antichrist. I've taken you to the dark side, but your future now changed. Sorry, you have to change your strategy to make sure that you're prepared for this. Look who's coming next. We've heard about cars. We've heard about travel. We've heard about healthcare, government, farming, education. They all want to come to mobile too, but they will not become 100% digital. They will only have part of that industry. Maybe 5%, maybe 10%, maybe 25% of that industry comes digital and mobile. But that's a lot more money coming into our playground. If you're in the ICT industry, look at these orange items on the outside and help them on their journey, or steal their cake, whichever way you want to look at it. Those are massive opportunities because they have no idea what ICT is. And they have absolutely no idea what mobile is and mobility is. That is where the big opportunity lies. What can we do with this? When you visit Helsinki, come and meet our wonderful statues who talk to you. So you just take your mobile phone and you can listen to the statues like our favorite Tsar. We used to be ruled by Swedes, and we used to be Swedish kings, and we used to be ruled by Russian Tsars, and our favorite ruler was Tsar Alexander II, so we have a big statue of him right at our Senate Square. Go listen to him and he will tell you why he was so beloved in Finland. So, but now, what can we do in this opportunity? Where are the big opportunities then? You've heard about cloud computing. Sure, I agree, it's going to be big. But you've also heard about Internet of Things. I think there's some overlap between Internet of Things and cloud computing. But I think personally that the Internet of Things will be bigger than cloud computing. Some of the things of the Internet of Things will feed cloud computing, but many of the things in the Internet of Things will not relate to cloud. There will be none other ways. And there will be many other opportunities outside of cloud which are not in the Internet of Things. How about big data? I think big data will be much bigger than the Internet of Things as a commercial opportunity. Whoops, what happened? Yeah, okay. So big data will be a bigger opportunity than the Internet of Things and cloud computing, but there will be overlap. And obviously there's a nice little Venn diagram in the middle where some things will be Internet of Things and it will be cloud computing and it will be some big data. But you see, there's a big opportunity on the blue side, which is purely big data, which has nothing to do with Internet of Things, has nothing to do with cloud computing, but will just generate a lot of stuff for us in big data. What do you think, mobile? Let's draw the red circle. I win! Mobile will be by far the biggest opportunity out of this. Almost everything you do in cloud computing, not everything, almost everything you do in cloud computing will be driven by mobile. I win. A very large part of big data, not all of it, but very large part of anything you do in big data will be driven by mobile. I win again. And on Internet of Things, okay, maybe half, maybe 30%, maybe 20% of big data will also be driven by mobile. So yes, I don't say go mobile only, but Macedonia 2025 has to be mobile first. That is by far the biggest money opportunity we have, by far the biggest employment opportunity we have, by far the biggest export opportunity we have. Obviously, whatever we do in big data, whatever we do in Internet of Things, whatever we do in cloud computing, mobile has to be part of it. So we go mobile first. Now, on industry success, I'm not telling you anything new, but this is what we learned from South Korea, this is what we learned from Singapore, this is what we learned from Malaysia, this is what we learned from Finland. It takes a partnership of three. You need to have a partnership with education. You need to have a partnership with industry. You need to have a partnership with government. Education has to give you the kind of young, smart kids from school, from university, who are properly trained, who know the right things, not just to know about coding. If you need programmers, they need to have business skills. Do they need public speaking skills? What kind of things they need to do? We need to be well trained. Then industry needs to help. Industry needs to tell the schools what kind of curriculum do we need. Industry needs to give them apprentice opportunities so that students can study, and obviously industry has to then hire them and give them good paying jobs when they graduate. Government needs to come in and bring this all together, needs to reduce the barriers, needs to empower and make it possible, including new legislation and regulation that fits the digital age. Dealing with things like privacy, dealing with things like intellectual property, in launching a business and helping export it, grow it, and so forth. Needs to be a partnership of all three. I'm not an expert on this, it's pretty obvious stuff. Anyone who generally looks at this, they tend to agree on this, but I want to underline the point. We have seen this very specifically working in South Korea, in Singapore, in Malaysia, in Finland, in Colombia, in several other places. So, is this heresy? Am I really the Antichrist? Am I really totally crazy after lunch and feeding you horrible stories and trying to steal you to the dark side? Is anyone in the world in agreement with me? Have you ever heard anyone say something this crazy? Thank you, I'm running over time, but don't worry, I'm almost at the end. So, the world's largest PC maker believes that the future of the personal computer industry is mobile. The world's largest laptop maker believes so strongly in mobile, they bought the Motorola business from Google. The world's largest chip maker, this year, 2015, launched a smartphone operating system together with Samsung. The world's largest software company spent $7 billion to buy the handset business from Nokia. The world's largest internet company for 10 years has been telling the other internet companies the future of the internet is mobile. The world's largest social media company says the way to make money in social media is mobile. The world's largest video gaming company says profits in video gaming will be made in mobile. The world's largest music company says all music will be mobile. The world's largest broadcaster says all television content, all radio content will be mobile. The world's largest, what's coming next? Oh, the largest newspaper organization, Guild, says you cannot make news on the internet, but you can make money with news on mobile. The world's largest home entertainment company says mobile is front and center to our strategy. And then, world's largest advertiser says the fastest growing part of advertising is mobile. And the world's largest advertising brand has introduced mobile money, mobile payments from places like South Korea to Denmark. There has never been a technology moment in human history where this many different leaders of these different industries agree that their own industry will be disrupted by something else, and that something else is always the same. This didn't happen with electricity, this didn't happen with the telephone, this didn't happen with nuclear power, this didn't happen with the internet, this didn't happen with computers, this didn't happen with satellites, only mobile. Never been this much agreement by so many different industries that they are going to be disrupted. You know I'm not done. The world's second largest bank thinks the future of mobile, that they are a mobile first bank. The world's largest credit card company says the future of payments is not plastic, it's mobile. The world's largest department store. They now want their customers to use camera phones inside the stores. The world's largest tool store says that I can sell 10 times more tools to a mobile phone than the largest store they have. The world's largest coffee chain restaurant says the key to our success is not coffee beans, it's not location, it's mobile. The world's largest technology company did not become the largest by selling computers and televisions. They became largest by selling mobile phones. And the world's most profitable company in history was on the brink of bankruptcy 2 decades ago. Apple did not become the most profitable company ever by selling Macintoshes, not by selling iPods, not by selling iPads, not by selling Apple Watches. Apple became the most profitable company in history with the Jesus phone. With the iPhone. I told you I will corrupt you. I told you I'm the Antichrist. I will ruin. I am messing your mind. But this is the future. We're in Macedonia. I don't need to tell you about how Carlos Slim became the richest man on the planet. With mobile, he's a mobilista. So, I tell you, the customers, mobile. The revenues, mobile. The profits, mobile. Mobile, mobile, mobile. Thank you.
Mr. Tomi T. Ahonen, rockstar. So we're going to shake up the format a bit. We're not going to keep the standard format with everybody speaking in their turn. Let's start with some questions right now. I think we're fresh and energized from Tomi's presentation here. So I'm going to use that and ask him a question first. Okay, if you will. So, Tomi, let me see if I got this straight. So, the strategy for Macedonia is mobile. Okay, good.
Mobile first.
Right.
So,
Mobile
absolutely, cloud computing, big data, all these things, what we're looking at the different industry. Like the lady was talking about the healthy foods, farmers can use mobile in very many ways. From everything from irrigation to managing pets to all kinds of, farmyard animals and so forth. So, I don't mean we go only mobile, but make things mobile first.
Excellent, thank you. And maybe one more, if you allow. What is the next big step in mobile? Right? We've heard about a lot of ideas about global connectivity in mobile, like Google Wi-Fi balloons. I don't know. What's your opinion on that?
If we want to look at what will consumers feel, what they will experience, what we today don't think of and we are not familiar with, then I think the next big thing will be augmented reality. Augmented reality where we can see things on the mobile phone that don't really exist in the real world. If you're interested in that's different from virtual reality. In virtual reality, we hide things in the real world. But augmented reality, we can see things that are not in reality. We can see it through the mobile phone, or maybe we can see it through glasses or contact lenses, or a PlayStation Portable, or a tablet, and so forth. Augmented reality, I think, will become the next consumer experience driven by mobile on a schedule from 5 years to 10 years from now. So if you're in media, if you're news, if you're in gaming, if you're that kind of social media kind of things, you might want to look at augmented reality. But it can also be used in things like customer service. Audi, for example, has its user manual that you just point your camera phone at the engine, and the application knows, oh, you want to change the oil, and gives you specifications of what kind of oil you need to put into the Audi engine. Or if you point the camera phone at the wheel, then it says, oh, do you have a flat tire? Here is how you change the tire. If you point it at the seat inside the car, so, oh, you're looking at the seat. Do you want to change the seat back and how to adjust the seat and so forth? So things like this. Quick, for the other part, technology-wise, we have to, there's never enough capacity. So we will need to build the next generation after 4G. Yes, there will be a 5G. Tokyo Olympics, NTT Docomo, will be showing what 5G looks like. They're ready to they have it in the lab, and it is coming out. So we will start to see that in Tokyo Olympics. So do not think that your 4G phone is going to be enough. Eventually, everyone will have a 5G phone.
Thank you. Anybody else? More speakers?
So just to make sure that I understand, when I have a statue talking to me in Helsinki, it's not because I have too much Koskekorva or something. It's because of the mobile technology. All right, it might be both.
Anybody? Phil?
Yeah, I mean, this is like preaching to the choir. I mean, according to Gartner, we're like the enterprise leader in mobile technology, and yes, we bought because we're not good enough. So for sure, we would love to have a lot of the Tomis in the world who can preach the story of mobility, plus of the cloud, plus of big data, plus of Internet of Things. It's a huge market opportunity for Macedonia.
All right. Anybody else?
Yeah.
Please.
So, if you guys were recruited by the government to put together a strategy, what would be the 2 or 3 key planks, but before that, the 2 or 3 important data feeds you'd need to assess what you have to do, and then how would you go execute on that to seize the mobile opportunity?
So I think that there are several areas which have been rather well done. So I would not go into news media, I would not go into entertainment, that kind of areas. They have been, there are a lot of plays in that area. At the moment, the exciting areas come around payments, around identity, around translations, things like that. So that I would look, where is the specific opportunity that we've got good competence around here that we can build on? And I think that these, at the moment, these are very rich, where the opportunities will be commercially real within the next 5 years, not something that we have to wait 10 years for it to materialize, but which is not already done, where there's a mass market solution that can, just be deployed on Facebook or something like that.
You're good? Yeah, excuse me. All right, can we have another microphone over there, please? And I recommend this be the last question, since we do have it.
So if, Tomi, thank you so much, this is very inspiring. I want to work for you after having the PhD. Is there any kind of app that you can use to reach the 7 billion people you're talking about with just one click on yesterday we were talking about Facebook and how you can reach so many people through Facebook. If I could promote my name issue idea with one SMS to all mobile phones, would that be possible?
Yeah, the only thing that reaches every mobile phone is SMS. SMS reaches all 7.4 million mobile phones, and it has an active user base of a little over 6 billion. The second highest reach is MMS. MMS reaches about 5 billion phones and has an active user base of 3.5 billion. The next one is HTML. When we are coming down to Facebook, we're at the reach of 1.5 billion. WhatsApp, we're at about 1 billion. So in that sense, at the moment, if you want, we need to go at very basic technologies. Obviously, you could also build something around voice, but some people have already started to abandon voice.
But even if in these basic technologies, is there some kind of IT guru or mobile guru that could actually reach all these 7 billion numbers in the world at once?
At the moment, no, you would need to get each one of those numbers separately or each one of those permissions. If you could get the operator to agree to blast to every one of their customers, then you would only need to talk to 300 operators and get all of their permissions and pay for that traffic.
All right, so thank you very much, Tomi. As much as we'd like to pick his brain on and over, we do have some other guest speakers. So once again, thank you very much, distinguished keynote speaker, Tomi. Now, the next person is a dear friend of mine that I've known since I've been involved with the ICT industry in the mid-90s, and that's Petar Kajevski. He's coming from Oracle. He lives in Vienna. Though I would imagine, actually, that he lives between Vienna and Skopje, because he does keep a number of acquaintances, bigger than a larger number of acquaintances in the ICT industry in Macedonia than anybody else I know. He's Director of Customer Strategy and Insight in Oracle. And he was the founder of media search engine Naidi, which is Find in English, back in the day. So he's going to touch on a number of topics concerning IT exports, and that was based on discussions with key stakeholders. And I expect this presentation to spark a lively discussion as well. So, with that, Kajevski.
You see, I use the non-portable method to be noticed and to be asked afterwards. I'm just tall, so if you see me tall, you can speak to me anytime. I don't have. So, Macedonia 2025 is supposed to be a lot about platform for personal growth of the people there in Macedonia. It certainly is providing as a platform for me, because 2 days ago on Wednesday, I had to follow up after people like Ichak Adizes and Jim Dunn about advice to young people. And now I have to follow up after Tomi Ahonen on ICT topics. So it's kind of challenging, growth challenges. And what I am going to be talking about is specifically about the IT industry. So not much expanding to the rest of IT-related stuff, except for comparisons with a very successful company in the visualization space. And what I have done is based, as Dino said, I like to come here often. I like to speak to people. So actually there have been some 15-20 people in the last 2 weeks who have been suffering, having coffees, beers, teleshka chorba with me, so that I could find out and speak what is going on with the IT industry. And few of you actually I cornered around here, actually up to the last minute discussing what is going on, so that I can put sort of a summary. Five areas you can see, sort of quite classical. What are some of the things going on by sectors? And finally, a few recommendations, conclusions, but maybe more of topics for discussion to see. Because just like, or maybe a little bit less than Tomi Ahonen, I think that when you present something, you need to provoke people. And at least once or twice, you didn't make the people say, this is nonsense. Then maybe, we were not quite using our time productively. And of course, as you all know, I work for Oracle, but as you all know, when Larry Ellison wakes up, when Safra Katz, Mark Hurd wake up, before thinking about what kind of cloud platform to make or sell, what kind of acquisitions they make, they spend a few moments thinking about the Macedonian IT industry. So there is a disclaimer at the bottom just to note, it's not their opinion, it's purely my opinion, nothing to do with opinion about Oracle, right? The disclaimer. So, starting with the first part, IT sector development, and actually I have a very good position because I did my master's thesis 11 years ago at LSE on the Macedonian software export industry. So I had a chance to do it in a structured way to speak many of the players then, and I have a chance in a bit less structured way, with a bit more entertainment, to speak to the players now, so I can kind of compare it. And the first thing to say is that really grew a lot. I mean, those of you who haven't been following up, and by the way, for you who are not in the IT industry, we have quite a few representatives of the well-established IT industry of Macedonia today, present here. So just for you to know. So it's obviously Macedonia 2025 is hitting quite the topic and the nerve in the IT industry in Macedonia. So just for illustration how small the industry was there, Sivus, then and now the largest player, had fewer than 50 employees. I was talking to people at 2-3 person shop. I was researching my thesis, was the whole sector part, and I was actually talking to a guy in pre-lab who got his couple of gigs working for software development through shareware postcard. There used to be shareware we can use, but send me please a postcard. And there were some guys who were using his shareware, and they dropped the project, and the desperate client found his email address and sent him an email. Hey, we found your address, would you like to work for us? We're in Hong Kong. And back in 2003, somebody from Prelab getting an email saying, we have people in Hong Kong who would like to work with you, thought it was a scam. It was a prank, but it was true. So it grew a lot. Now we have the data from Macedonia 2025 side presentation. 2 years ago, 120 million euros exports. which means that ICT industry not only grew a lot from ICT industry per se, so for the kind of the benefit and good feeling for many of the people in this room, but actually started moving the needle in the Macedonian economy. Because what was 2003, you could have all this discussion, but it wasn't moving the needle. You could have grown 10 times, and still what happened on the world steel markets or what happened on the world agricultural markets would have mattered far more than IT. But now IT is starting to get really important for the Macedonian society as a whole. And I'm going to get late in the government role because it's quite, actually, I believe it's quite easy for the government to support the ICT industry, but which is in general quite a well-off industry, but you need to see it from the perspective of the wider society. Should we help more the IT? There are lots of people working, or should we help more of some of the struggling industries? So, but let's be realistic, lots of this growth is simply catching up with the rest of the region. And Andrew yesterday from Endava, like they have been already present in the region and they're coming here. So a lot of the growth we're having here is simply us getting up to speed with the rest. We are not making any breakthroughs there, right? And then it's also the fact, and I heard this statement that speaking to one of the players, people who come here from foreign players there, Macedonia today is where Belarus was 8 years ago. But let me make something clear. This is a statement about the IT market, not the political situation, right? No confusions there. So, it still has the room to grow, and Macedonia has the lowest salaries in the region. I'm not talking about, of course, there's lots of discussion about the marketing value, how we should promote, how we should use the topic in the other industries, which are even more cost-conscious, the automotive industry. But this is what I was told by some of the people why they're getting jobs. So just to be realistic where we stand. Areas of activity, very quickly, just example of FX3X, it's the Macedonian largest success story. It's a literally Hollywood success story. Animations are not IT exports, animations, with lots of IT development. And important part for the people thinking about the IT industry is why they succeeded. They were at the right place at the right time. They, of course, executed well, but they got into the sector just as the whole real mainstream Hollywood production was moving into using more and more digital animation. And there was a world of turmoil, and then, by them being properly executing in these challenging circumstances, they were able to establish themselves. Actually, when they started, they even went to the wrong trade fair. There's this legendary story. They were offering visualization services, but they went to the equipment service. This is sort of like, I don't know, like you say, oh, we offer programming services, and you go to a hardware fair, and if the market is mature, people are just going to laugh out of the room, like, who are these idiots? But when the market is not mature and nobody knows what is going on, when the value chains are changing, they actually get a decent chance to speak to the people, even they are completely in the wrong place, with zero references. So this is important piece to know, because the context is that IT is also changing. There is the mobile, there is the digital, there is the whole world of SaaS, which in the application business is really driving a lot of changes. We at Oracle, SAP, we are all seeing it. It's changing in a... Maybe what is Frontlight announced, the cloud is something. Quite often the changes, the differences are oversold. And I would say the companies like Oracle and SAP are guilty as charged as well. But when you're inside the industry, you see all these subtle ways, all these ways where established players can make missteps. All these small things you need to change, each one of them trivial, but all together mean there's a change. And there's a huge problem with Macedonia. This is totally not recognized. I spoke to 15 people. None of the people doing businesses are really doing anything in providing SaaS applications globally. None of them are building on top of the existing platforms, and actually there's going to be connection with what Filip is going to follow up is pretty much one of the strongest my advices, so I'll skip that to him. Just remember, it says SAP, thing was Oracle. And also analytics is just not used. There's the big data analytics, a huge, huge topic for everybody. In Macedonia, there is almost no work. But actually, and this is how Macedonia 2025 is sort of the lightning beacon. Actually, we have 2 university professors here in the room who are not only teaching, researching that, but they have active projects in the area. They have clients. One of them has a client in Hong Kong, the other one had a client in the US, working in the areas of visualization, analytics, big data. But this is the problem, because the professors are usually the cutting edge, right? And these topics are then being picked up by the mainstream companies a few years later. And we're already being behind the curve there. There's really this whole world changing of IT that I just don't feel it here. On the topic of mobile, actually I say we do trivial things, and I say that mobile as practice now, is being used in IT experts now, this opportunity will end very soon. So how on earth can I say this, and somebody before that saying that this is going to be changing everything? The point is that, think about the e-commerce revolution, right? It started in the year 2000, and now we speak digital. And quite frankly, with the digital buzzword became modern, I was asking myself, how on earth is this new? How this is not the 2000 year of e-commerce? The difference is we were starting then, and now we are transforming the whole organizations working digitally. And what was the challenge then? To write some stupid HTML? How do I show the picture bigger or smaller? Now it's a different topics. And currently mobile, without going into technical detail, there is lots of quite simple, quite trivial work which has to be done for what they call, for pure friction, what they would call in the Silicon Valley. Small phones, different platforms, different markets, and this job is going to end up, that's I'm saying, lots of what we do now in mobile, in Macedonia, is sort of year 2000 work. Low value added work somebody has to do. Now, don't get me wrong. There are small companies making money, that's good, that's great, just like Nina yesterday was saying for Grouper. Grouper didn't invent anything, it was Groupon, and even Groupon wasn't a cure for cancer, but it's providing value. So this is no means criticizing these companies. All I'm saying is that this kind of opportunity, the way we do mobile now, is going to end up pretty soon, and we need to move into the value chain into mobile. Business software platforms, Filip is going to say huge gap. You know, we all have the dichotomies. Either we do services, or we do our products. But no, actually you can build on stuff. You can use Oracle's marketing platform, and you can build a small add-up and sort of a semi-productless thing. Nobody here is to that. And finally, outsourcing needs to get, and it's actually getting more and more advanced. There's on one side in Tava, kind of getting more into what's, speaking as an example, more understanding the business. And on the other side, there is I met a guy who is doing body shopping, so the proper, look up and down, but he's looking at it properly. Operational efficiency, giving the money stuff. So he absolutely says, I'm getting away from all the value stuff, it's just a headache. I just want to be lean machine to do body shopping. And that's good, that's great. Quickly on the next topic, people. Everybody's complaining about people, we don't have enough people, but quite frankly to me sounds a bit like you are in the oil industry and say, oh, if I had the oil wells of Aramco in Saudi, I will be just as profitable as Aramco. Yeah, but at the end of the game is oil, or resources. So, the fact that in IT you say that you don't have people is kind of, that's the core of your job. But let's be realistic about people. There's lots of good people in IT, but let's be realistic. The rest of the country has been going so badly that IT picked up more than its fair share of smart people and are ambitious. And that's not the same, by the way, of course. So, from the IT industry, if things go well with Macedonia, IT industry should be expecting to get worse and worse in easily picking up people because people have other opportunities. So this is something to have in mind. So there is not a room for expansive growth. You have to do intensive, you have to kind of do more with people. What kind of people have? Juniors are generally generally good of ability, especially in Skopje, when you speak to the people like Petar here, who was speaking earlier on, trying to do stuff in Ohrid, it's getting more difficult. Seniors are missing for a couple of reasons. Firstly, there was no pipeline. For various reasons, our university system was stuck in many different ways. So we had a very low pipeline of more senior people, number one. And then number two is that the kind of work is being done, it's producing very limited time for senior people. You are able to find senior technical people if you pay them. So there are many people now being freelancers in Macedonia, working directly for companies. So a bit more money, you throw the money at the problem, you will solve it. But you're not going to solve the problem with people with project management skills, IT management skills in general. And you're not going to solve the problem with people with business skills, or business IT related skills. Those are missing, and you have to think how to deal with it. I don't know, maybe even take some foreigners from somewhere who did, right? And no wonder all of it, right? And finally, non-IT people are really a blind spot. Anybody can get into IT. It's a very democratic field. And we have been typically here only focusing on people with some kind of IT education, so you have to think more about the non-IT people, both as a source of lateral moves into the IT industry, as a source of business knowledge, and finally maybe expanding into area where IT is mixed with lots of hands-on work, which there are qualified people, and I think Metodija is going to mention some of these things in the business outsourcing part. 40 minutes, so just in 2 minutes, role of the diaspora. Now again, don't get me wrong, diaspora are people as well. It's not that I have a special slide because diaspora are not people, there's a special topic. And I'm just going to notice here that when I did my research in 2004, diaspora Macedonian was more involved into Macedonian IT experts than today. And of course, like many different things, like many other things, Macedonia 2025 is an exception. So yesterday you saw Chris Pavlovsky doing his company, here opening, but believe me, he's rather exception to the rule. In 2004, almost all businesses exporting Series 1 somehow had a Macedonian living abroad in the story. Now quite a few, now just a few of them. Is it good, is it bad? Well, it's partially more mature market, so you don't need just a guy who knows somebody. And you can also argue that companies like Endava recognize the opportunity, but the other hand, obviously, room for improvement. It's certainly a very topical thing for Macedonia 2025. And definitely, you have to think broadly. You know, only people who are bothering to become owners, to have some kind of an equity stake in the Macedonian IT industry from diaspora being involved here. So trying to get consultants, trying to get to work with them as employees is something which is a big missing part. And finally, just the role of the government associations. First of the Macedonia, the IT association, some people here, I think they're on the right track, that they are moving into more relevant parts. Back in 2004, they had this space idea, we are going to make a consortium, and we are going to get a major financial services product, all of us together. At the same time, well, when one of the guys would get a project and no capacity to deliver, they wouldn't give it to the other guys because they wouldn't trust them to mess up the project. Government, it's actually said today by Dino, government invested a lot into IT information society, but mostly into broad initiatives. Laptops for everybody, internet access, internet cafes, universities with IT education in every little village. The broad part invested, which is good up to a point, but invested quite too little into the stop area, into the leading edge. Part of this being, you know, the largest bronze equestrian statue in the world on the planet is 2 kilometers from here, in the center of Skopje. There is no equivalent in the IT field. And me, I have a kind of a more conservative view of what the government should do, what the taxes should go for, that's fine. We don't need some big, top, world-leading government IT project, but I'm just noticing the government hasn't been investing into that. And finally, we need to, you know what, Andrew Brown here is a very nice guy. And you'll be surprised that when you speak to the 15 people in the Macedonian IT industry, he's the villain, the bad noir, the bad guy, because he's coming here, he has some subventions, and he's getting the people there. And quite frankly, before seeing him on the presentation, I had something more strongly worded about the subsidies in the IT industry being less effective and those automotive. But now I understand the point, I understand the higher value added, I understand the point the government gives subsidies for IT investment, but nevertheless, here will be a need to balance it with being fair to the rest of the players. Because unlike automotive, there is already close to full employment of the people in the IT, so there's always the linking, you know, what we get with the people providing higher value, which is the money. So this is for my side, and I think I already covered my recommendations to be put for the discussion.
So Petar, thank you very much. It was a really insightful presentation. We don't have too much time left, unfortunately, so we're just going to go with one question this time, and we're going to ask additional questions after Philip, maybe. All right. So one thing, I don't know if you mentioned this, but access to capital, right? Do you think that access to capital is a challenge? Or maybe it's a question of the lack of education on the topic of people here about the access to capital that they do have? Or rather, it's a mentality issue? What would you say?
Firstly, the access to capital, I think we are not there yet. So partially related to the lack of subject matter expertise, lack of sophisticated companies. I don't think that there is much in the way of companies which would have a realistic chance, right chance to develop a product, but not sophisticated access to finance is a major hurdle. So I would say that's a problem that we are going to have, but don't have at this moment. And the second part was?
Well, it was rather whether it's a lack of access to capital or it's education or mentality.
As an education, you know, I'm of the John Janowski school, quite frankly, that, you know, we need to improve our educational system quite a bit across many different dimensions.
I agree. Well, thank you very much. Once again, Mr. Petar Kajevski. We'll come back after the next presentation. So next, we have somebody from SAP. It's Filip Misovski. He's a software product executive at this enterprise software leader. And he's going to talk about IT innovations, from idea to enterprise, about customers, and Macedonia as an enterprise innovation hub. Over to Philip.
All right. Can you guys hear me well?
Yeah.
All right. First thing, I'm gonna give a high five to my local friend here. You know, we kill each other like in front of customers, but you know, we try to give a good relationship. All right. One thing everybody started with was they all have their theme, how to recognize them. So Tomi with the hat and Petar with the tall appearance. Well, for me, you're gonna look at me. I'm very casual. All right. So sorry if I'm maybe intruding to somebody who's a little bit more. But you know, I grew up where I started my career in Silicon Valley, and you know, you don't go in a suit to work. And if you know Mark Zuckerberg and his favorite hoodie, that's the kind of culture. Number one. Number two, I'm about to talk about innovation and creativity, and somehow when I'm in a two-piece suit and a strong tie here, I don't, I can't think about innovation. You know, I'm more in a selling mode and making deals. But so I went for a little bit more relaxed state. If you guys pardon my more leisure appearance. So that's how you're going to recognize me in the airport, probably with a hoodie and a very, very relaxed look and feel, and authentic probably, and old salesman. All right, now let's go to the topic. Well, first, I really wanted to thank the organizers before I forget that, because this is my first time I got connected. I've been 22 years outside of the country, and I've been 16 years with SAP, 15 patents that I filed. I've seen many parts of the organization, and I've been to, we go to like conferences twice a year, like the big ones, and there's like 4, 5, 6 that are regional ones. And personally, when I see the quality of this conference and the content, I mean, kudos, really. And so first of all, to Biljana and her team, I mean, you guys did an awesome job. For the hosting, and not to forget Mike and the whole board here that I've got myself introduced to. You guys are really the rock stars of Macedonia. So I had my first day here that I gave a TEDx session to high school students or college students, where I had to connect to the youth, go back 22 years, and now I have to connect to the businesses, to more adults, and I hope I connect in the same level, the same success I had. What I talked about there was, how to be successful and what do you have to do to disrupt yourself personally in order to grow your success. I also talked about fears and failures, but we're not going to talk about that a lot today. So the topic of this panel is, how do you disrupt your business, or how do you transform into smart industries and really make Macedonia, part of that? So we have Mike coming from GE, we have a colleague here who is GE Lightning, and I'd like to use that. It's not an SAP customer, unfortunately, one day, once we kick out Oracle out of there. But Jeff Immelt, you guys probably heard, or you know him, or he's saying that all heavy industry players are now software and IT players. And they're like, whoa. So all these big machines that GE is selling, they're selling all kinds of stuff, right? So from the turbines to the MRT scanners, that hopefully don't have to go through, all are being now built with IoT connectivity, mobility, platform software. And guess what? The CEO of GE, if you just look up the Business Insider for the article from a month ago at their Minds and Machines huge conference, like really big, They wanted to be the top 10 software player. They actually want to compete with us, all right? GE, all right? So we're like, okay. And why do they want to do that? Because they're looking at also what Siemens is doing. And by the way, Siemens is partnering with us. We're providing them the right IoT platform, being a German company and all that. But the whole world is moving. So heavy industry, banking, you talked about mobility. It's all about becoming a digital platform business in order to disrupt yourself for bigger growth. Now let's talk a little bit about SAP. And you have a little bit the SAP facts here. So what do? If you woke up this morning and had to take some medicine, the 95% probability is that we helped manufacture and run the quality check of that medicine. So whether it's local, something like Alkaloid, or Teva, pharmaceuticals out of Israel, Roche, Merck, all those guys run on SAP software. If you picked up your phone to make a call, like 80% of the telecom operators use us for managing services, financials, and billing. Actually, even if you decide to buy an app on the Apple Store this morning, on your phone, the transaction by Apple himself is fulfilled by an SAP system. So I think you get the picture. We're quite omnipresent. We're not all that upfront like Facebook, because obviously we're enterprise software. We're trying to make enterprises to be to be successful. But you see us a lot at the airport. Best run companies run SAP, right? Now, if you look at the market we're covering, so Oracle and SAP, or this enterprise, the whole software market, it's split in two major markets: enterprise software market and consumer software market. Yesterday, with Chris and the folks here, we saw the heroes of the consumer software, like really what you can do. And I've tried personally that it doesn't work really. I mean, there's like out of thousands startups, there are maybe one or two that succeed in that space. Now, another thing that's important to distinguish is there are two different markets. You cannot be, some young guy that doesn't have the experience in enterprise and shake up the enterprise market. There are a few unicorns entering, but it's much easier to get into the consumer software business. So you have to understand how does the enterprise software market work. The other thing is, it's a different size. We talked about, so many facts. You probably like already, after lunch, like, oh, there's so many numbers. Oh. So I'm going to just throw you one number. So there's a $4 trillion enterprise market, which includes also mobility and cloud and big data, et cetera, versus $170 billion in the consumer space. So if I want to encourage Macedonia where to, go for the bigger pie, guys. I mean, sure, if you're in the consumer area, like the grouper example, do more of that. But on the global scheme of things, that's where the money is. That's where the big apple is, and literally. To explain the difference, if you want to build a company with $100 million in annual recurring revenue, that's like a subscription term, like how much money you're bringing annually. The difference between the enterprise and the software market is, in the enterprise, if you're a vendor, you need 1,000 enterprise customers paying you $100,000 per year for subscription for your software. All right? And if you're lucky, if you have somebody paying you $500,000, we have examples like that, that's actually, cut by, 5. So 200 companies. Whereas in the consumer software, you have to have 10 million active customers eyeballing, eye-clicking, to monetize $10 per year, thanks to Google, right? So you're working for Google to some degree. It's a different scale. So it's easier to get into consumer software, whereas in the enterprise market, much more difficult. I mean, you guys have known our partners like Accenture and Deloitte. These are the old school players, we worked. But here, there's, for example, a small, boutique firm. These guys can make a difference now with SAP and Oracle, and that's what I'm talking to you about. That's the objective, ultimately, that you see on the slide. So really, I look at the question, how can Macedonia disrupt itself to play in this new game driven by the enterprise, next generation of enterprise software? And I have two major takeaways, what to focus on. Focus on innovation. Innovation through intellectual property. Made in Macedonia. I know it sounds cheesy, like whatever the government had like several years ago, like with all the products that produce. No, in software, it really, this is going to be the true differentiation. There's a whole new generation of apps and services that are delivered for this whole new digital economy. And a whole new IP. Innovation needs to be imagined, created, delivered, supported for large and for small customers. My advice, don't focus on the old school outsourcing. Seriously, because this is where you have zero IP. You're working on somebody else's idea, probably like, here. What does it say in your iPhone? Designed by Apple in California, assembled in China. Okay, well, what's the big, the most, what's the 800 billion evaluation company? So that's Apple and not China, right? So you have to keep that in mind that at the end of the day, we talked about sustainable advantage. IP and innovation is the game. It's not outsourcing. Sure, you can have 100 people, you can have even 400 people. It's not a sustainable advantage. You're competing on price against other players. You're like Walmart trying to compete against Lidl and Aldi. You're just going to lose eventually. Rather focus on creating innovation and IP that has long sustainable value for the company, for the economy, and for the country. Do we have such examples? Sounds like I'm preaching. Well, you mentioned Civus. I don't know, do we have anybody from Civus here? Raise a hand, or have you worked, or you're familiar with, or just raise a hand, somebody? No? Okay. Well, here's the story about Civus. It's not about promoting Civus or SAP or anything. I once had to log into SAP, not from my laptop, but through like a central Citrix client, where you're like working from home. And I go to the application which are centrally managed, and I see an application called Project Viewer. I'm like, what? I click, and I thought I've seen it or heard it before. It's Civus Project Viewer sold to SAP, like a year or 2 years that I saw it. And then I go into, it's a desktop application, I go to About, etc., and I see the credits. I see 4 Macedonian names, 2 Albanian names, all something like that, all out of Macedonia. And at that moment, I felt like, when you're in a stadium, you're watching some Macedonian or your favorite soccer player, and you get that Macedonian flag, I was like, yes, made in Macedonia. Really proud, and I had nothing to do with it. Just want to give you that feeling of what we need to do here. So what's the next thing we need to focus on? The right platform and the right ecosystem. Sir Isaac Newton is claimed to said, if I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants. Anyone in the world who wants to be successful in our space needs to stand on the shoulders of SAP, Oracle, Salesforce. These are the companies dictating the enterprise software world. And the good news is, all these companies are changing their strategy. It's not about only selling you 100% all the solutions from us. We're inviting the ecosystem, we're inviting the partners, we're inviting startups to build on our platform, connect to our backend applications, deliver a whole new set of innovations to our customers. So don't try to build another company that competes with, let's say, core business, like traditional HR, traditional procurement. There's enough from the big players. You can't scale against us. You see the 40,000 salespeople, you don't have them. We have them, and they have 50, right? So, or for example, you want to build a data center in Macedonia. Please don't do that, really. I mean, there's enough data center capacity out there. Plus, you're not EU, there's US safe harbor, you're not going to be compliant, no customers will trust you, going to that data center. So there are a lot of fields where you really need to understand, you need to focus. Use our data centers, use our infrastructure, use our platforms, build innovations, build the mobile applications that Tomi was talking about. So let's look at another company. This is a success story. In May at Sapphire, this was our biggest customer event that we have. We throw it once a year. We had actually an application built in Macedonia, in a stage in front of 20,000, 30,000 customers looking at it. And I want to roll the video. The company is called CMOS, it's been around, and the application is called Job Points, presented by our Chief Technology Officer. Please roll the video if you don't mind.
So one of the things I'd like to do is pull it all together with one final demo. So we have one demo that shows how HANA Cloud Platform brings together the entire ecosystem of our applications, our business network, and the work we're doing in S/4HANA. And it's an application, an example that's near and dear to everybody here, right? We all want to retain our employees. We all want to do a great job motivating and retaining and coaching and bringing our employees forward. And there's an application called Job Points, which has been built on ACP, which brings together a point system. Research has shown that a point system is even better than the monetary rewards. People like the involvement and the personalization of these kinds of systems. So I'm going to go ahead and invite Austin Swope to come up here. That's going to help me finish this demo. And I have already on my phone here the application. So this is built on HTTP, and there's a mobile application that's a part of it that allows me to, in real time, reward and recognize people that I'm working with. So in this case, Austin's come up on time, that's a good start. So I'm going to go ahead and start by recognizing him. Now we're only beginning the demo, so I'm going to give him 25 points. Sorry, we'll maybe do a little more later. And then I'll just type in Swope here to find him, because the search capabilities, of course, are built into how the platform works. I can find Austin here, select him, add a little message. Great work. If I can type correctly, done. And then, because it's built on the HANA Cloud platform, we also have the opportunity to work with our ISVs to customize applications as they get deployed with customers. And so here I have the values that SAP is focused on for our employees, and here I'm going to align this to trust. I'm trusting Austin to do a great job with the rest of the demo and send this off. Now, just like that, I was able to get in and provide this reward to Austin, this recognition that his manager sees and that we all see, for him to then carry the rest of the demo forward. Austin?
Thanks, Quentin. So Quentin showed you how simple it is to give points. Now I'm going to show you how simple it is to spend points. So I just got an email that the points that Quentin just pushed through are ready, and we're going to go ahead and refresh. So you see I've got 30 points. And now those 25 have been added to it, so I've got 55 points. So that 55 points is about $55, and it's now burning a hole in my pocket.
All right, I invite you guys to just see the rest of the video there in the interest of time. But this was another moment where I was like with the 20,000 customers in Orlando and Sapphire, and if I had that Macedonia, like this. So really, guys, these are the proud moments to see, IP and innovation being made in Macedonia. Now, what is my call for action for all of you guys here? So, number one, for startups and for IT companies that are here, let us build one or several 100 million businesses in Macedonia on the SAP HANA Cloud platform. Maybe something in Oracle, but that is my call for action. There's a serious business, and actually I happen to run that business at SAP, and I have the luxury to come over here, and you guys are really the first ones to get educated on that. So please take that opportunity. It's a huge business. I mean, look at Salesforce. Salesforce has really already done that in our space, and their ecosystem is more valuable. They're more valuable. They're like 50 billion of revenue that goes to the ecosystem. And there's like only another 50 to Salesforce. So it's proven, and we're going to take that to all the line of businesses. So that's the call for action for startups and IT companies. Let's build one of these or several of these 100 million businesses. For companies and the diaspora, local companies. So you have a lot of local companies. So how can they contribute to this? Like Alkaloid, like many others. I don't want to single them out. And what can the diaspora do? Help these innovative companies that are building IP, not just outsourcing your stuff. Really, that's old school stuff. You won't get me excited about it. Help these businesses to pilot this stuff. You don't have to take it, for all of your enterprise. Help them have these applications that are built on such platforms to pilot and run this software innovation. Spread the news. That's basically my two call for actions, and I guess if we have any questions, we will not. We will go to Metodija. That's right.
But I did promise a round of questions, even after Peter. So there was a gentleman over there, so please.
I have questions for both of the guys from Oracle and SAP. And that's, for example, Oracle. The largest offices are in US, second is in India, and third is in Romania, the region. And the question is why neither Oracle or SAP have more than one person in Macedonia. So what is the reason? for this. Related to this, to the organizer of 2025, I don't know if in the room is there any Microsoft person, but Microsoft is the third player in this enterprise sector, which is missing here.
Look,
and related to that, yesterday I heard a discussion between three business guys from Macedonia with Macedonia Bank for Reconstruction and Development, when they were arguing about loans and so on. But as far as I know, there are very few Macedonian companies that are using proper ERP system, which is one of these three big companies. And on the rest, when you go in the bank and bring your business plan, and if this is made with SAP or whatever, they believe in the figures. If they are made locally, I'm not sure how much is trust in these figures. Thank you.
All right, so it's like a two-fold question.
Yeah, so you're going to get it. Okay, you have two guys here who are eager to respond right away. So
keep it short, guys.
Yeah.
I mean,
okay.
I think you missed the point. So we're not, we had a sales guy here represented, but that's not the point. If I give you 10 guys here at SAP, they will be selling to your alcohol leads and the telecoms of the world. That's not the point here. That's not. First of all, it's the small market. We don't want that, honestly. I'm here talking about your company and your neighboring company that are in IT business to build on SAP and you to be successful, and not just to IP that's built in Germany that we just sell over here. So I want to reverse the equation. We want to disrupt things here. That was my point. Number two, if you're looking at our investments, just go next door, go to Sofia. We have a lab, SAP Labs, 1,000 employees who are building IP. They're actually building that SAP HANA Cloud Platform. Now the question you would ask, why didn't they go to Macedonia? Bad timing, capacity, whatever. But the point is, the examples are there. And now I'm giving you an opportunity that you can, don't look behind why it didn't work. Look into the future, why it can work for you and for the other IT companies that you're talking to.
I trust that answered your question. I hope that answered your question. Now we're running just a bit over time here, and I would like to proceed. Again, is there anybody really burning for a question? Okay, excellent. So just to step out a bit out of the ICT world and move on a bit to business processes and business process outsourcing. Now, we have a guy here who can talk the talk and who has walked the walk, and has done that in Poland. We have Metodija, Papazoski, who's co-founder and VP of EMBS, a business intelligence company in Poland. And he's going to take us through how to make Macedonia a hub for the business services sector. Metodija, Papazoski.
Good afternoon. Works. Yeah. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm the only not IT guy here, so I hope we will have a little different conversation. Why Poland? Well, basically Poland has been a really success story when it comes to business services sector. There are 150,000 people employed in the sector, and the very important thing is that this growth came in a very short time. The whole industry in Poland is, I would say, 10 to 12 years old, and majority of the growth came from 2007, 2008. Only in last year there were 22,000 jobs created, which I think is significant growth. The forecast is that by 2020 there will be 250 jobs created in the BPO sector in Poland. So my idea here was that potentially we can see what has been the success factors for Poland, and maybe we can transfer them to Macedonia. As if somebody asks me what are the biggest issues for Macedonia, I would say youth unemployment and centralization. And the development of this sector, I think it can help with both. When it comes to the whole business services sector in Poland, it's roughly divided between four separate segments. Shared services comes with 1/3 approximately, BPO around 20%, IT outsourcing 36%, and research and development centers with roughly 11%. I will not go into the IT outsourcing at all because we already heard about the sector in Macedonia yesterday from Andrew, and today we heard some other pros and cons about it. So I will focus myself on the business services sector, mostly shared services, BPO, and wishful thinking, research and development. Basically, when it comes to Poland, interesting information is that the whole industry is not centralized at all. So you have several big centers which employ thousands of employees all over the country. The leader city is Krakow, which employs over 30,000 people. And me coming from Krakow, I think it made great difference to the city, these 30,000 people. We are looking at mostly young people coming straight out of universities, which before that did not have too many chances to get a decent job, similarly as it is in Macedonia. So if this affects my company as well. I mean, a few years ago it was very easy to find young talent, people who speak several languages. It was easy to find them. Now, we have competition in these global corporations, and in many cases they beat us in terms of what they can offer. Basically, the Polish example shows us that this is transferable. For the purpose of the presentation, I spoke to several people who have invested and have BPO centers in Poland, such as Shell, Philip Morris, and Heineken, to name a few. And they all said they found in Poland what they were looking for in terms of available talent pool, people who speak different languages, as well as the costs in the beginning, they were not too high. However, I think that this has changed, and the approximate salary, starting salary in these BPO centers is right now 1,000 euros. But still, this hasn't stopped the companies from coming to Poland. So there is projected growth coming, and then still we have these people coming. So cost is not a prohibitive thing. Now, the thing is that a lot of these companies, they started simple. They started with simple processes, HR, typing invoices and that kind of stuff. But a lot of them, since they started, 89%, they have improved the sophistication of the processes as well as the number of processes. So that means that they are there in the long run. Also, vast majority of these companies are planning to increase the number of employed people in their centers. So, the key question is, what's the potential for Macedonia here? The key ingredient is young people. Basically, I think we have this. We have a bunch of kids every year graduating from economy, law, languages, and although, as we said, the attraction of foreign direct investment has been a success, but mostly these companies have been manufacturing companies. And these companies who come to Macedonia, they target different audience. I believe that the BPOs and the shared services and research and development centers attract different type of people, which I believe right now, this is the most vulnerable group. Kids graduating after school, university, they don't have a good job. They don't have a potential to find decent employment, and a lot of them are looking to leave the country. I just saw the other day some statistics that 47 of the people up to 27 years are interested in leaving the countries. If we provide them with a decent job, this percentage will shrink significantly. And another problem that I mentioned, centralization. I'm personally born and raised in Prilep, and right now, you graduate from economy, let's say, there isn't much to do in Prilep, other than looking for administrative work. So this could lead to potential decentralization and regionalization, because, a center with 100 people employed, let's say shared services or BPO in Prilep would mean a lot. And I can tell you it's not very difficult to find 100 smart kids in Prilep. It's getting more difficult, but because a lot of them move to Skopje or they go abroad, but there still is, and we have to do something about it before it's too late. The only potential backlash or a problem that I see in fast development of this sector is the language issue. A lot of these centers in Poland are using, 100% are using English, but a lot of them are using several different languages. So there was an example that one of these BPOs are using 31 languages in-house, but on average this is 5 to 8. So I think that there has to be done additional research on that, what is the talent pool of people speaking other languages than English, but I think it's an obstacle that can be overcome with changing a little the education system, focusing more on languages, and in general, changing the education system, which requires a lot of reforms, and we know that this doesn't go so slow, but we have to push on it, and we have to change it slowly. And just to wrap it up, what next? I will quote John here, as he said yesterday, you have to build a strategy, believe in the strategy, and just sell it. For me personally, I've been involved in advisory and selling consulting services for the past 10 years without a big brand behind me, I believe this is an easy sell. With consulting, you sell somebody a vision for a large amount of money. And here, I think we have all the tangibles there. We have experiences from other companies that invested in Macedonia, all the experiences that I've heard yesterday and today. Everybody has a positive experience. So I believe that we have something to push for, and I believe that this can be done.
Thank you, Metodija. And I think...
Try to be brief.
Yeah. So I think that the key message that I got from you, particularly was try to think of everybody else and not just ICT. Try to automate business processes as well, because that's going to help elevate the economy. That's going to bring us closer to the knowledge economy that we're looking for. I had a list of questions to go through, but I would like to ask the audience first, because we have been talking between ourselves a lot. We still have some 10 more minutes, so we have Tomi, the Ahonen. You can ask him about mobile, I think. You have Petar from Oracle, you have Filip from SAP, and Metodija from EMBS. Please, we're at your disposal. Okay. Maybe. Yeah. There's a question. Okay, excellent. The microphone is coming to you.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Johan. I'm coming from the academia, teaching computer science subjects. I know personally Filip and Petar, and this is more for Filip. So the thing you do is admirable, and I really admire the initiative, and I think it's the way to go. But unlike the startup talks that we had yesterday, where you can start a business with $50 and programming HTML or whatever, here I don't think that the sub-platform is as easy to start with, HANA in particular, to program. So my question is both on the training side and the logistics side for any startup that wants to, probably maybe Semos may share some light on how they did it, but I would expect that the startups in particular might need some support, not only financial but also logistic in terms of training. So your thoughts on this, how this can scale actually? Because one or two use cases, I guess, is not enough in your vision, right? Yeah, thanks.
Okay. So Johan, thanks for the awesome question. You're right, SAP has been kind of a best kept secret, and it's been very difficult to enter our ecosystem, but we're really changing over the last 4 or 5 years. We're doing a lot with MOOC, or what is the abbreviation for these online free classes. So we have something called OpenSAP, open.sap.com. It's free. You can go in and learn all about our platform. Plus, we have trial. We have 100,000 accounts, 100,000 developers across the world within the last year and a half. We have got gain access. So the perception of SAP is this, two-piece suit, tie, and somebody making a deal behind the scenes. And you heard about SAP. You know how expensive it is, but you don't want to work with it, or if you do, it's like you're some crazy guy. But we're changing that. We're changing that perception entirely in the entire software, and predominantly because of the consumer software. We've seen how easy it is with a $50 and domain registration, and put in a Apache server, or use some Amazon Web Service, and up and running. So definitely, this has been a major challenge for all the enterprise software players, and I must say we've made huge attempts to address equal playing opportunity. I mean, can you imagine that someone like CMOS, right? I mean, who the fuck is CMOS in Macedonia, or CMOS for that matter, right? Sorry for my French, right? And you're on the same slide and the Sapphire with Accenture. I mean, it's like, company we've been doing, they've been promoting our software and selling their services. So it's really, we're equaling the playing field here. And I must say, education, how you access the platform, how you build, also how you get into the partner program. Because it's not only about building, right? I mean, you have multiple platforms today, and you can train online, etc. You get and you build. But what happens next? Do you think your software, if we just put a website, some enterprise will find it and buy it? No. You still have to go through the enterprise sales channels. And this is where we're also making huge changes. The whole go-to-market approach, we're taking on us as SAP. Our 40,000 salespeople will put it in their sales bag and go out to the customers, knock on the door to say, hey, we don't have just this cool HR cloud software. By the way, we have this cool recognition and rewards app that you can also use in conjunction to improve XYZ. So that's major change in the store, and I only invite you guys to join opensap.com or get a trial account at hcp.sap.com. Okay, enough with the marketing.
Just one note on Macedonian accomplishment, and somebody competing with SAP, you have no idea. A Macedonian company presenting, so for SAP, presenting on a platform and an HR topic. This is like, say, for the current government in Macedonia, somebody presenting on Skopje 2014 and foreign investment. As a competitor, the two top strategic topics which SAP is paying most attention on have been presented and showcased by Macedonian products. It's really amazing. So,
I didn't pay him to say that.
Well, thank you both guys. Thank you both guys. Would there be any more questions? Maybe one last question? All right, well, let's try and wrap this up. I believe the conclusions for this panel would be, coming from the back, automate business processes, focus on innovation, and don't just focus on old school outsourcing that brings zero IP value. Focus on real innovation and make sure you talk to the right people about that. Elevate the education and make sure that it's industry driven, and make sure that the whole society really gives its best effort to elevate the education and not only provide the basic education in broad strokes, but to give us a step forward, a knowledge economy. And the biggest piece of all, it's mobile. Mobile wins, and we're only entering the golden age of mobile now. Ladies and gentlemen, Tomi and